What if the biggest thing slowing your business down is you? Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because the very skills that built your company are now possibly capping your growth. In today's episode of Profit with a Plan podcast, we're going to be discussing why founders become the bottleneck and why adding more AI and automation often makes things worse and what it really takes to build a business that runs without you holding every piece together. If growth has started to feel heavier for your business, it isn't, instead of being freer, this episode might be for you. Hey, entrepreneurs, are you working too hard for too little profit? Well, welcome to Profit with a Plan podcast, where we help you scale smarter, increase profitability, and build a business that's worth more, whether you keep it or sell it. I'm Marcia Reiner, business growth strategist and the profit booster behind Infinite Profit. I've helped countless entrepreneurs to turn their businesses into highly profitable and sale-ready assets so they enjoy more income now and a bigger payday later. So join me for practical strategies, expert insights, and proven steps to make your business more profitable, more valuable, and built to last. But before we dive in, I've got something special for you. If you're tired of flat revenue or marketing that just doesn't seem to pay off, the new Profit Booster Growth Map might be for you. In just a few minutes, it shows you exactly how to bring in more qualified clients and plug those profit leaks that are eating away at your cash. Go get your free Profit Booster Growth Map at profitbooster.biz/growth map and start turning missed revenue into real money. All right, let's jump into today's episode. My guest today is Damon Flowers, a business growth strategist who has spent more than 22 years scaling and exiting companies, including growing one from $3.5 million to $30 million in just over 2 years. Today, he helps founder-led companies move from chaos to founder dependency to predictable growth, stronger teams, and operational leverage, while showing leaders how inner game drives the outer results. We're talking about how to stop the bottleneck in your business and what's really takes to scale without holding everything together yourself. Damon, welcome to the show. I hope my mouth can continue to work for the rest of the show.
Oh, I appreciate it, Marcia. I'm super excited to be on your show today.
Yeah, me too. I'm really excited about this topic that we're going to go into. We've kind of shifted a little and evolved it as we've continued our conversation offline. But before we get started, how did you get in the space of operations and really getting that to work better? I know we don't wake up each morning and go, this is what I'm going to do.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely been a long and winding journey. To kind of keep it short, I used to work in corporate America and professional services and fulfilling what sales sold, right? So getting this bag of goods at a company, being like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, we can do that. But ultimately, realized early on that I was not built to work for other people. In fact, in my first job, I got fired because I asked too many questions and kind of rocked the boat too much, right? They were just like, listen, kid, just do what we say, right? And eventually got let go. But I also started to realize too that I didn't enjoy making other people money. I felt like if
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna pour myself into this, which is the only way I know how to do things, then I need to kind of think about making it my own. So ended up leaving corporate America, back in 2002, maybe 2003. And I got to tell you, Marcia, I thought that, man, I got all this figured out. I'd been consulting for 2 or 3 years out of college. I thought I know how to do business, right? Man, was that further from the point, right? The first couple of years were absolutely brutal. And what I realized was there were certain things that I was very comfortable doing, but business doesn't require us to do a few things comfortably. It requires us to do a lot of things. And so there were a lot of things that were outside my comfort purview. Not necessarily that I lacked the skills to, I could learn those skills, but really my inner game was not set up to handle
Mm.
those uncomfortable things. And so that really sent me on a journey of ultimately figuring out, gosh, how do I sell? How do I talk to people and get rejected and, experience failure? How do I bring on people and staff in my company and delegate things to them and let things go? How do I figure out product market fit, not just what I think should happen, but actually what the market wants and be adjustable and flexible to the market telling me, right? All of those things that sound so easy as an entrepreneur, it really took me a while to figure out. So, back to your question, the reason why I got into ops is because over time, I really found myself kind of taking on another area of business to try to become skilled at it, versed at it, somewhat of a general expert at it. So, whether it was sales or marketing or manufacturing and e-commerce and inventory, all of that. But ultimately, what I found is I like operations, and operations is really the cohesiveness. It's the connection point that brings all of those pieces together. It's kind of why the COO is oftentimes the old gray person in the room because they've got sort of the most experience of how all these pieces fit together and how you make a decision or make a change in one area of the business. How does it impact other areas of the business? So, for the last several years, that's really what I've been focused on is growth and scale. Yeah.
I love it. That was the perfect definition of business business development and coming out of the gate. I'm sitting there going, yeah, uh-huh. That was yep, yep,
Yeah.
nodding away at your experience, not to laugh at you, but to laugh with you, going, yeah, that is the perfect example of what business comes with when you open the doors. You think, I know this thing, and it's the farthest from the truth that you have. But I love that you landed in the operation side because that's truly where the sales, okay, the CEO creates this idea, the salespeople go out, first of all, you market it, then the salespeople go out and deliver, sell it, and then you got to deliver on it. So, I mean, putting all those pieces together, you are the glue that holds the company together and makes all those promises that were made on the front end turn into money on the back end. So, you chose the right area that needs people like you. So, thank you
Yeah.
for taking that path.
I don't know if it's being a glutton for punishment, but yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Gosh. All right. Well, today we're talking about how the business owner gets in the way. And I love the angle that we're going to play on this, where we're really talking about how today's systems. And funny, I just wrote a blog post on this that went out this week on how systems of yesteryear may be getting in the way of your growth, holding you going forward. So I'm just really excited that you're on the same line with this, because that can let go, right? You could be working on um an old computer run, and you just need to reset it, right? Or reprogram it, or do something. I guess the picture of what I was trying to explain landed flat, but a reboot. We got to
Reboot. Yeah.
reboot our company systems to make sure that the business owner isn't holding us back, right? Tell me about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So, over the last 6 months to a year or so, we began to kind of realize that business has been outsourcing its processes for years.
Mm.
So a business has outsourced itself, it's outsourced its sales into a CRM system, and it's outsourced its customer fulfillment into another SaaS tool, and it's outsourced its legal or contracts or its communication, right? And so as we began kind of looking at this, what unfolded was ultimately our white paper we just recently wrote that looks back at the trajectory of business over the last 50 years and why we are where we are today as a society, right? Why our businesses run the way they are today. And it's interesting when you think about it. So to kind of flash us back in the 70s, we probably remember, and I won't go back before, let's say 1975, but prior to that, business was run with lots of ambition, a good smile. You could talk and you had a Rolodex, right? Your ability to just pick up the phone and fax and, make things happen.
And a
That
handshake.
and a handshake. Yeah, that's what pushed business forward, which was great, right? Ultimately, though, we see Steve Jobs come along, right, and Bill Gates and the the rise of the personal computer, and we now start to see computers starting to get on desks inside of businesses. And at that time, then we wanted to scale beyond what was just in people's heads, right? So now we're using computers to start doing that faster. So if you recall, I think it was back in 1987 that ACT, the first CRM system,
Oh
came
gosh, I
out.
remember that.
Yeah, long time ago. So this ability
Yeah.
to now start putting contact records and things like that in this system. And what happened then from, that time through about the early 90s, mid 90s, was the rise of computer systems that tried to solve these problems in these very siloed
Mm,
effects. Well, then from 2000 to about 2015, we start to see the rise of SaaS. So Salesforce was the first group that coined that term, SaaS and subscriptions. I believe that was in 1999. And now we start seeing this explosion, if you will, this Cambrian explosion of SaaS products for lots of different services, right? Um, and so now, if again, we had tools for marketing, we had tools for sales, we had tools for
mm,
legal, we had tools for everything. So this big explosion. And what we see now is staff and employees and the founder now cycling between more and more and more tools on a daily basis. We now see that even in a short period of time went from 8 tools to 12 tools to 16
mm.
tools to 20 tools. And sometimes, the bigger the company, sometimes more tools might be even necessary. And you can think about now the bridge, if you will, is the founder or is the management team, right? That are now sort of trying to oversee all these various tools that have all of this data. And then so in kind of 2015 through about 2020, 22, we start to see the rise of integration software. So
Mhm.
Zapier and Make and later N8N. In fact, I think Zapier maybe came out in, I think, 2011, start driving adoption in about 2015 or so.
Wow, what a memory lane we have with all these things. I'm thinking, God, I'm old, because
Well,
I
yeah.
remember all this stuff. This is crazy.
And so that period now is about trying to stitch all of these different tools together so we can get information out of one system into another. We
Mm,
can start to have this flow. But the problem there is now we are way out on a limb of lots of tools and lots of duct tape that breaks and falls apart and integration fails here and fails there, et cetera. And so now we're at this place where we have this perfect culmination, right? We've had this arc of business process over
mhm.
time, now culminating at a point where we have an incredible rapid innovation with AI. And so companies are really at an inflection point. I work predominantly with small to medium sized businesses. So business owners kind of in that, $1 to $30 million, $50 million tranche. And so
That's a pretty big tranche, by the way.
pretty big tranche. Yeah. 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 So now, business owners and businesses are finding themselves in this inflection point of this is how business has been done for as long as I can remember back. Some of us it's 10 years, 15, 20 years. But now I've got to do it so much faster. I've got to make faster decisions. I've got to pivot quicker. You got to find product market fit faster. There's a lot of risk. There's a lot of uncertainty. We have this explosion of like, risk and uncertainty in our world that's like quite crazy, right? And
I
so,
think I think I think there's one other piece that you're missing is the fear factor that because AI is so darn fast, even I was talking to one of my clients who's in cybersecurity. We're talking about, well, if AI is really fast, so are the hackers are even faster, right? Because they're using that AI, that we have to protect ourselves in a way. And I think with business, we get into that mindset of that if AI is really going so fast and now we have to make decisions faster, we have to change product, we have to do this, all this complexity comes in because we have to keep up with the Joneses. Because we're afraid that if we don't do it, our competition will do it and we'll be left in the dust.
yeah, I think we all feel this low grade stress, this low grade, sometimes high grade tension that is all around us, right? Like, I need to be doing more, going faster. I need to figure things out. Um, and so what I really want listeners to take away from this portion of our talk is that we're really at this point where the old system is no longer going to serve us. Okay.
Mm,
And what we're trying to do is we're trying to apply AI on top of this fragmented tool solution. And what happens then is, boom, we put AI in place in our marketing and our marketing explodes, but then our sales or fulfillment can't handle it. So another part of the business breaks.
mm,
Or we do the same in one other part of the business, right? But the business then is like an accordion. It's just it can't handle the level of change that's necessary. And what that leads to is that business owners then are finding that they're having to push pause on marketing or sales until they fix fulfillment, right? Fix this bottleneck, at the and
with more
so
duct tape in most
more,
instances, right?
yep, more duct tape, more maybe integration, more time, right? So now instead of working 60 hours a week, maybe now you're working 70 or 80 or whatever 90 hours a week, trying to learn the next tool, figure out how things are going to work for you over the next several years. And so what we're seeing now is actually the rise of what we call an AI powered operating system.
Mm,
And what that is it's a complete departure from the way business has been handled for the last several years. So we've been leading up to this point, but we can't continue thinking the way we did previously to continue to try to solve the challenges that are in front of us today. So we've got to think about a new architecture, a new blueprint, a new foundation. And that foundation is an operating system that becomes the hub of your business. And that operating system contains the context for your business. Who are you as a business? What do you value? Where are you going? What's the vision? Where do you want the business to go? What do you sell? Who do you sell it to? What do they want? As we begin to build the hub, the operational hub with these types of questions and answers, we can now start to bring what used to be siloed in all these various places. We can now bring that into a single source of truth, organized for people, also organized for AI, so that now we're in alignment. Leadership and our staff are in alignment with where we're going. AI can now come in and play independently, or it can play with alongside of staff. So a staff member now has their own AI junior assistant or chief of staff or whatever that can help them in their own role. And what that does is it unlocks the business's ability to make decisions faster, understand how various parts and pieces of the organization affect other parts and pieces and teams of the organization. It helps us to lower risk, helps us to get tighter with what our customers want and understand what we provide in the marketplace. It brings a lot of benefits, and that is what enables us then to weather the storms moving forward. That's what enables us to adapt quicker. That's what enables us to weather uncertainty.
I love it.
Yeah. So
I love it. I do this for my clients. So I'm just nodding away going, yeah, I'm so glad that it's being you're becoming aware of the having that clarity of who and what and that brand identity of really digging that in, because then it can help the AI to help you structure it. But I see so many more areas that this could be in a time of, we want everything yesterday and delivered on our doorstep. that we can now, once we've developed and quote train the AI to, like as you said, act as the chief of staff or help with the innovation, that we can look at how we can operate better, right? We can operate faster, more profitable, less expensively, to do things and to make that decision-making process easier, as you alluded to, by using the AI. But are we still fragmented? I mean, are we going, is this change going to turn, the business up on its end, or are we going to be able to do this easily and gently?
yeah,
Hey, quick pause here. If you've ever wondered what your next smartest move should be to grow your business, well, I've built something for you. It's called the Profit Booster Growth Map. It takes only about 2 minutes. It's totally free and it shows you exactly where you're leaving money on the table and what to fix first. Go grab it for free at profitbooster.biz/growth map. Then come right back to the episode.
Gently.
Yeah. So depending on what phase of business you're in, right? I think your listeners are probably in a range of different stages from maybe just starting out and not having product market fit to maybe you do now and you're selling and maybe you're at 500,000 or 1 million a year, all the way up through maybe business owners who might be on the tail end of thinking about exiting, right? And looking maybe at the what's lying ahead and saying, I'm not sure I even want to play in the game that in the world we're
Oh,
moving into.
bug.
Yeah. And so there is a path forward to make this transition. And but what I really want to drive is that the old way of doing it will not keep up with changing times. So,
And I
just like
think that's why I asked, are we going to have to turn ourselves on our end to make that happen, or is it going to be smaller shifts? Because we can't keep doing what you did yesterday will no longer work today. We know that. And if you keep trying that, you're just putting the square peg into the round hole or hitting your head against the wall. So how do we
yeah.
start to shift that in a way that says, okay, I'm going to implement, and maybe where can I implement first?
Yeah, great question. So there is a transition, and that transition involves the setup, if you will, of an operating system and thinking about building a hub in your business. And as we start to build that hub, let me kind of paint a picture for your listeners. So the newer models that we're seeing for business, and these are not just models that are going to be around for a year, it's not the next trend. This
Mhm.
is really the next generation of business for the next 10, 15 plus years. That model looks like a hub or an operational hub as a in the middle. And then on the spokes, you've got marketing and you've got sales and you've got product, fulfillment, finance. And so that hub is where the context for the business lives. So we talked a little bit about that. Where's the business going? What are we focused on this quarter? Who do we serve? What do we sell? All of that. Um, Job roles, SOPs, right? A lot of that stuff all fits in there nicely. That's also where the AI now contributes to growing the business, not out in marketing, because if you have AI working out in marketing, it's isolated now and not able to help AI over in sales or over in product or over in fulfillment, right? So we're centralizing our AI empowerment, and that way sales takes advantage of the capabilities that are supplied. Marketing takes advantage of the capabilities through AI that are applied. And we could talk more about what this looks like. For instance, AI is deployed almost exactly like you would bring in a new staff member. It's got a
Mm.
title, it's got a role, it's got access to skills. It has access to certain parts of the business, but not other parts of the business, right? It goes through a training exercise. It's released out
Yeah.
into
Oh
kind
my
of a
gosh.
staging environment, and then over time it gets let go out into the real world. And what we're describing is exactly the way that you would bring on a new staff member. You wouldn't just turn them loose with your best clients, and say, here's the credit card, knock yourself out, right? You would make sure that they knew what they were doing as you were sort of release them into the wild, right?
Right.
But we can only do that again if we think about this type of structure. And so that's probably the biggest challenge for business owners is really conceptually making the change for how business used to run to now how business is starting to run today, again, moving forward. So
I love this idea. As an AI geek myself, I mean, I am fully engaged in this. This is speaking my language, and I can completely see where this is going to benefit the companies going forward that do implement this spoken hub, right? And have that. I love the way you're onboarding the AI into the center to say, okay, here's how we are, here's who we are, here's how we can do things. Help me make each section better, and then make it inclusive rather than siloed the way it has been over the years. And I think that's where, a specialist can come in and train and help and do this kind of thing, but then you've got to have the systems that and maybe the expectations rather than saying systems that the team members will accept the new guidance that's coming out. And the leadership can then not be, like you said, the bottleneck, but to embrace the new guidance coming out and saying, yeah, I think we can take this and we can take this step A or phase one, and let's try this and let it roll with it. I think that's the beauty of it, is it's helping us in so many different ways.
Yeah, it is. And I've got to share that I'm not the type of individual that is promoting we should all just deploy AI in our business and fire all of our employees or staff. That is
No, no, no.
nowhere
You still
far.
need humans.
Yeah, well,
Humans are essential. Yeah.
yeah, for lots of reasons, by the way. But including the fact when you look at nature, nature is made up of, trees and plants and flowers and, water and air and animals and bugs and everything, right? And it all works together.
Hmm.
We don't want to come into a business and just sort of lop off people and say we're going to run everything through AI. We're going to see an explosion, I believe, of people. They're going to have to make the transition of like, okay,
Yes.
really understanding AI and implementing it and using it. But I'll tell you, my own business, I wish I could hire more people because we have a lot of plans. We have a lot of things that we want to do. You can only, as an individual, work on AI so much. But if I had more and more people as a part of our team, we could do a lot more and much quicker.
That's
So
perfect because AI is the brain power. You still need the arms and muscles and body parts to go out and do the actual tasks and activities that are required. Um, AI is still a computer run program that sits on a computer somewhere and can grab data, but it cannot go out and shake hands with your client, or it can't necessarily take the product that was built by AI or even on the plant, if we're talking like that, right? And deliver it to the customer so the customer can have the experience. And I always like to think back, we all hated that phone tree, right? Oh, you're welcome to Infinite Profit. Press one to talk to Marcia, press two to talk to Damon, press three to talk to. Nobody wants that kind of environment. So the human is still essential for the client face, right?
they are, yeah. And the human is still going to be necessary for designing the systems and, figuring out what's right and important for our business and how are we going to continue to market and the channels and the content we want to develop and all of that. We're not at a place where we can just push a button and sit back and AI just runs our business for us and
We'll get fat.
delivers a 20 to 25%, return every year for the next 10 years, right? And puts money back in a treasury account and, does all the things, right? We still need people to really
1,000%.
help run the business forward. Yeah.
1,000%, because our customers are people
Yeah.
and people want to talk with people. So I get that on there, but I think that having the brain power to help you think about how can I deliver my service just on an operations level? How can I deliver my service, after I've done the product fit, right? And I know that that's the right product or service, but how can I deliver it in a more efficient manner, right? Where I can cut costs for putting that product together and deliver it to my client in a more cost effective manner. Then my pricing, I become more profitable, and my customer can actually spend less on the product conceivably, right? And everybody's happy. And in an economy where, prices keep rising and, we keep having to pay people more so they can afford to pay for the prices, this could be a win-win.
It could. Yeah. And it could. There are, obviously we're in a place where we're kind of sandwiched between AI is either going to there's a 20% chance that humanity will die, or a
They're going to
50
take over the world.
yeah, yeah, or 50% job loss, and kind of somewhere in between. But um we can't get too negative about it either, right?
No.
So all of us have a choice of either saying, gosh, the sky's falling. What do I do? This is crazy, and just being negative, or we can choose to say, great, where's the opportunity, right? Where's the opportunity? How do I take advantage of it? And looking forward to what's coming from more of a positive sense, because we can't do anything about, you know if humanity dies in 5 years because of whatever AI went on a rampage, it won't matter. But how we live in the moment, day by day, that's what matters.
And I think that's you can't stop progress. Progress is there because we thought and we acted and we dreamed, right? And AI is part of that dream that now is coming forward and could make life easier on many instances. It's not a perfect, and I agree it's not going to end the world for humans on this, but I love when you can embrace it as a business owner, then you no longer become the bottleneck and get in the way. You're actually freeing up opportunities and directions that everybody on the team, including the customer base, can enjoy from it. And I think I like that outlook and the mind shift that you have to make to be able to welcome AI in here. So instead of trying to still do things on DOS, right? We all know we
Right.
used to do things on DOS or Act, right? As you
Yeah,
mentioned, and now we've got these softwares that really, all I have to do is identify the client and I can have data on them so I can make better decisions and help them better, right? This is a win. And I think it's something that we should all embrace. So,
for sure. Yeah.
yeah. Well, Damon, this is great. Thank you for sharing the history for us because that took me down a road that I participated in for a long time. And then you showed us the outlook and how simple this could be to start to implement it and where the best place is to implement it. But where can listeners find out more about you and your company so they can go and start to get better ideas?
Yeah, I appreciate it. So our company is modernoperators.com. Like the name suggests, we're really about the modern capabilities of business and building a durable business moving forward. And so the best place to find us, reach out to us, is modernoperators.com/start. And there you'll be able to sign up for our newsletter if you want, or check out some of the white papers we have, look at our YouTube channel, or even just book a call with us. So kind of a choice for you to decide, how we want to play together.
Love it. Love it. And you mentioned that you have this white paper that you just built, and it's in more detail than what we discussed on here with the evolution of AI and how you can implement it, right?
Yeah, so really a deep dive looking again at the history and why we are where we are. We also have another white paper that goes into depth on the ownership, if you will, of this operational hub today. So operations has also changed dramatically since, you know, 10, 15, 20 years ago. Operations was kind of a side thought and, handled catastrophes and fires that came up and other things. That role has radically changed. And when we get that role right, again, it's the cohesive glue that allows the company to move and scale forward very quickly, which is necessary in these current times. So we've got another white paper also that talks about those changes as well.
I love it. So being aware is the first step of innovating and staying on top of things. And as business owners, we really need to stay on top of things and not be the blocker for innovation, internal innovation, external innovation, product innovation, or even thought innovation.
Yeah.
And I think these white papers are fantastic for that. So thank you, Damon.
I love what you said, by the way. Awareness is the key when we start to become aware of something new, a new change. And I also like to say that clarity is the first multiplier. When we start to get clear about what we're solving or where we're going, et cetera,
Mm.
that's where the real unlock happens.
Ooh, speaking my language. Love it. All right, cool. Hey, listeners, thanks for tuning in today. I hope you picked up some valuable insights and actionable ideas that'll help you make your business more profitable. And I think thinking the way that Damon has brought out will really open up some doors and possibilities for you to move forward in business with new systems and new operations rather than trying to fix the old ones with more duct tape. So I'd encourage you to go visit his site and grab those white papers and even book a call. All right, before we go, just a reminder, if you're ready to bring in more of the right clients and keep more of what you earn, go grab your free Profit Booster Growth Map. It'll pinpoint the top 3 moves to grow your revenue and stop your leaks fast. Go get it anytime at profitbooster.biz/growth map. And just note, you're going to get the growth map. You're not going to get a sales call. You're going to get some information and some ideas. And if you like it and you're looking for someone to help you implement it, then give us a call. But otherwise, you're going to walk away with some ideas. So go check it out. Also, don't forget to subscribe. You don't want to miss future shows. You can always catch Profit with a Plan on any of your favorite podcast players. And we're looking forward to more great profitable strategies on next week's show. So until then, make your plans and profit with them. Thanks, Damon. This was really good.
I appreciate it, Marcia. It's been great being on your show.
Thanks.